Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm Sophia and today is part 2 of our piped cushion tutorial and I am going to show you how to make your own piping cord. Now you can cheat and buy this but after you've made your own bias binding, hopefully with the video that I've done, then now all you need is some piping cord and you can make your own neat, beautifully finished piping cord to go around your cushion cover. So it's well worth it. It does take a little bit of time. It is a little bit fiddly, but it looks so much nicer when it's got a matching fabric or a really nice contrasting fabric. So yeah, let's get on and make our own piping cord. Okay, so to make your own piping cord, all you need is some bias binding. I've got a video that I will link now to make your own bias binding. And you just need some piping cord. This piping cord in particular is actually horrible. I hate this piping cord. It's like the plasticky stuff. And I've had this for ages. I don't use it. I ordered it by accident one time. But I recommend the cotton braided piping cord if you can get it, because that's the better quality stuff. Okay, so if you have bias binding that's folded like this, like you would buy it in a shop, all you'll want to do now is just to press it open all the way along. And you can press it in half if you want a midway point, but pressing it open is absolutely fine. As long as it's cut on the bias and it's got that movement across it, then it's absolutely fine to use. So once you have your binding either pressed open or pressed in half, all you do is put your piping cord in between, lining up to that halfway point if you have one. And you want these raw edges to then join on the other side, like so. So I always leave a bit of piping cord hanging out the end because that's really important. You want that both ends. And what you're going to do is, you can pin all the way along if you want to, but I find that it does take a long time. So if you have a zipper foot on your sewing machine, that is very, very useful here. But what you want to do is sew down close to the piping cord, but don't worry about getting it super, super tight. You don't need to have it super tight at this moment, because when you add piping to a cushion or whatever you're making, it can be a little bit useful not to have it right up against the piping cord. So you want it sort of like a few millimeters away so that essentially you could still slide your piping cord up and down. So I'm just going to sew along here, probably 10 mil away from this edge. Now my actual bias strips are 4 centimeters wide. I think they're just over 4 centimeters wide, which is about 1 3/4 inches. So I would then put and my piping cord is quite thick. So I would put my cord in there and then I would use probably a 10 mil seam allowance to just get it a few millimeters away from my piping cord. So I'm just going to sew that now. Okay, so just in case any of you are struggling with lining your machine up, I just thought I'd demonstrate what I'm doing on my machine. So I have my zipper foot here. And what I've done is, where the edge of my zipper foot is, because my piping cord is quite thick, it's really hard to get that over the top of it. So what I've done is, if you have a width adjuster for your stitches on your machine, you should be able to use that width adjuster to change the size, which means that your needle will move left or right. So what I've done is moved mine quite far over to the left so that the edge of my zipper foot is just rubbing against the piping cord here and it's stitching a few millimeters away from that edge. So I'm basically just guessing what my seam allowance is, but I know that it's going to just go alongside my piping cord really carefully. So all I have to do is make sure that the raw edges are together and then it will be the same all the way along. Okay, so once you have done that, you should have something that looks like this. I have used contrasting threads so you can see where I've been sewing. So I could go a little bit further than that stitch line, but when you're doing a piped cushion, the less tight it is to the cord, the better. And in my next video, I will show you why. But again, I've just left a little bit of piping cord sticking out of both ends, so I have a little room to maneuver. And I have made way more than I need. It's always better to have more than less. So for like a 40 centimeter cushion or a 16-inch cushion pad, you would have 40, 40, 40, 40, so that would be 160 centimetres. So I'd probably make at least 2 metres of piping cord to go around that, because you're going to add seam allowances and things like that. So there we go, there is how to make your own piping cord. So I really hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope it all made sense. I know it's fiddly, but it's well worth it, I promise you. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And I will see you really soon for our next step of our piped cushion tutorial. Happy handmade, everyone!